I'm not going to do that every time.
At least it does the countdown now. I
I
don't know if
only
you
do it for
added that.
Jessica.
It
Yeah.
always did the countdown.
Oh, well, I
It
guess I
always
just,
did the
We
countdown,
just missed
Jessica.
it.
But yeah, it hasn't been a bad day at all.
No,
And
no.
it hasn't been like, fires. In fact, if anything, I think we had less inflow than we had outflow. We had good outflow. And so we had like a net positive. We gained on our tasks today. But I'm with you. It was like, da, 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 da. And I was like, and because of the time between my last appointment and this, I couldn't get into anything else. So I was just like, okay, let me just get to content support. And I just busted out a ton of stuff. So I feel that. I feel that. Where's
Yeah.
my life here? So ask us anything. Everyone, for those popping in, I see a few viewers. I don't know if that's us or who that is, but I see a few viewers. This is the Spark crew, Spark team. And this is our Ask Us Anything office hours. If you're here, you're allowed to ask us anything. And hopefully we have answers for it. But if we don't hear from you, then you get to creep and be a voyeur on the girls and I talking about whatever's relevant in the moment. And maybe, definitely, because we swore to Jessica we wouldn't, bathroom moments. I won't even use the word. So we're going to go this entire episode and not reference bathroom moments once, aside from what I already have. And so we'll talk about anything other than that. And I have on deck a few things that I was going to want to show you girls that I've been doing with ChatGPT. But did you have anything that we should cover now that we have these videos and photos from our last event, or anything going on at all in your world?
Have you shared any of the other videos or anything, or just that one?
You mean shared it live or shared it to you girls?
No, shared it to the outside world. Obviously,
I have not
it
shared
with us.
any of the other content to the outside world yet.
I'm just so excited about State of the Spark.
Yeah, were you working on that today?
Well, I was supposed to, but I haven't gotten to it yet. I will. I am going to do it.
This was going to be your creative day.
I know. I'm a little peeved about it, but it's fine because other things moved forward. So
other things did move forward, and I think we still moved. Well, we didn't move that stuff forward for today, but I am deeply excited about this. And what I like about this is this because we agreed this morning.
oh, that's my friend.
And she labels herself as such. Hi, I'm Kim Grisano, and I want to be clear. I'm here because I'm Jessica's friend.
it's amazing.
You got good friends.
That's my friend. That's my friend. I told you is in North Carolina, and she was walking around the hospital, like watching our live, and her nurse friends were like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm watching Jessie. Look at her." You know.
So she works in a hospital, Kim? Do you work in a hospital?
She does, yeah.
Interesting. And can I ask what she does?
You can ask her what she does.
Kim,
what do you do?
What does it does?
What you do, babe? What it do?
What did it do? Well, wait till Kim gets back to us, unless she's with a patient, doesn't want to be weird and answer us.
She shows us her patient. She comes on live.
Yeah, she would.
Not a HIPAA violation.
HIPAA.
So yeah, I'm super excited about Spark because I'm super pumped about we can just go for the jugular over there if we wanted for personal development, and it's contextual. Yeah. I really dig that. And then if we do anything that's specific for Spark Sites clients, we could either double dip it and just put it over there in Spark Sites and kind of create a backup library, or I think we agreed to kind of give them a link over to State of the Spark and answer their questions there. So I am excited. And the new photos. They brought that homepage home.
Well, it just really brought it to life. And everything that we've been working on, it was just kind of hinging on that. And we had kind of forgotten about it, honestly, about updating the homepage because we knew we were waiting on content. And so it just felt really good to get in there. I just can't wait to share it with the world.
Oh, big time. And we've even got the affiliate program set up. So like Jessica, you could add a 6th or 7th business to your world.
Yes.
And it's just there. But no, like to your point, Amber, like we had not only put it on the back burner in our minds, this was going to go live on Spark Sites. And because such, I think we were like close to unconsciously abandoning, we'll just let it be what it is. But when you put those photos in there,
I can't wait to put some of the video in there too, because
yeah.
I think some movement on the page will be good.
Did you girls look at your videos?
Yeah, I didn't spend very much time, but as soon as you sent it, I clicked on it and was like, okay. And I went through and watched one of each of ours.
They're great. Each clip, and I think you girls got 2. I had a stage time, so I had 4. But each one of those clips is about 30 to 60 seconds long. And within each one, there's like 2 or 3 or 4 different takes.
Yeah.
Within each of those. And you could just clip that and post it. I mean, yourself. But what I'll do for that header section is I'll mash up ours and
that
the
would
crowd.
be great. Yeah.
You know?
If you could make one mashup video for us for that header.
Easy.
As soon as you do that, I will replace it because I just don't want to do it.
I want to do it. I want to get it done.
Yeah.
So that's huge. That's big time. That's big. Yeah. And then like there's so many other things we could go into for the public, but I think I'm going to take a derail into AI if that's cool. So did I send you girls the post where, and I talked about it in this morning's Huggle, but
Huggle.
in this morning's Huggle, but how AI is going to replace Excel spreadsheets for humans. Humans won't need spreadsheets. Jessica looks
You
confused.
mentioned it, but I don't remember seeing a link.
I need to find a link, but one of my Instagram buddies, I think, shared it. And I've been saying this for weeks. So for today, looking at AI and knowing that we just have to implement the stuff, I put this to work. Now, there's 2 AI tools. Have you girls used Google's yet? I know we've talked about it. Google Bard?
No.
Well, I'm going to actually share my screen. There we go. But I think in no time flat, here, let's pull this up here. And let's actually put us off to, this side a little bit. So in no time flat, what is happening, let me actually start from the top, is Google Bard, I think, will actually compete with ChatGPT. For those who don't know this, here, let's do this here. This is ChatGPT for those who don't know. And, a new chat is very plain and it looks like this. And it's simple. Google Bard actually looks quite similar. But what I have found is this. If I ask ChatGPT right now, how many people moved to Florida, the state we live in, for those who don't know, this year to date? And if I ask that question, it'll give us a warning, like, I don't have real-time data, right? But what Google does is, how many people have moved to Florida year to date? It just has all Google search queries. So it's all answering. There have been an estimated, like already, it's got the answer. So first off, I just wanted to note, Google Bard's language model isn't great, but its search results are huge. You trying to read that, Jess?
Yeah.
It just says my training only goes up until September 2021 unless I feed it.
Right.
But the language model is like second to none on ChatGPT still in my experiments. But to my point about AI replacing Excel, so I'm going to use Google. Actually, I'm going to use ChatGPT real quick. No, I'll do Google Bard. So I'm going to pull this query here because it's such a cool query. Boom. So my nerd alert friends, I have a friend who was like, Bitcoin's going to hit $258,000 by 2030 per Bitcoin. And I'm like, okay. So I was thinking, like, how do I calculate how, like, that's like a 700% return over that period of time or something like that. So I was like, how do I calculate? And I thought, well, I'll pull up a Google sheet and I'll calculate it, because 700% return is actually a compounded annual, roughly 40% return. But I was like, wait, I'm on this kick that AI is going to replace spreadsheets. So I entered in this prompt and I click this, and it has the answer here real quick, but then you're going to see what we're going to do with spreadsheets. And I'm going to say, could you put into a table the annual compounding for each year? And my hope, there we go. Could you put into a table? Yeah, it should create a Google Sheet, and it's tapping Google Sheets, I hope. Boom, there it is. So it's tapping Google Sheets right there, and you can see the annual returns are about 36%. And then I can export this to a Google Sheet just like that.
Wow.
So like for example, the one thing I was thinking is that Marissa and I have like a mortgage calculator for investments. And if I feed it my spreadsheet, I should be able to like tell it, please read this spreadsheet and paste my spreadsheet link in.
Yeah.
And then put in new data for a new property and it just calculate it. You will not need Google Sheets for long.
That makes me so happy.
Well, yeah. And you know that we use Google Sheets, but like sometimes we make them so complicated, they're actually functioning like an app,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like
overly complicated, but.
And at that point, I should use AppSheet, right? And then just have Google Bard operating in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question for people, though, is like, well, wait, doesn't ChatGPT do this? And it's a bit smarter. But the thing I was going to bring up was in ChatGPT and ChatGPT 4, have I shown you girls the plugins?
I don't think so.
So you can have this little drop box here appears. And if you click it, I've got, some of these plugins, which I have enabled, but then there's a whole plugin store.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nuts. Like I can give it a PDF and talk to the PDF. Like, hey, what's your major point on this PDF? Or blah, blah, blah. Link Reader, I can feed it a link, which we'll look at in just a second. But it's got a ton of these plugins. And so you can do the same thing, but I wanted to take this one step further. So I could ask for, here we go. Florida's 2021. You can basically do the same thing, but you have to feed it the data first. So like I would have to start a new chat and I'd have to feed it a link. For example, let me now use Google and say, what is the data for new residents in the state of Florida in 2023? So like I'd have to go through this roundabout way of like finding this link here. Let's just grab this link. And I'm building up to a point here. Let me grab this link, copy, go to here, and then I'd go to ChatGPT, and this is how you use one of the plugins. In your chat, you need to activate the plugin. So I've got the Link Reader plugin.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have to tell it, using the Link Reader plugin, please review the following web page and summarize it. Welcome back, Jessica. So it's going to read this page and then summarize it, and then I can tell it to turn it into table data, and it might do that. But everyone's raving about ChatGPT for this, right? But Google Bard does it right out of the gate and embeds it right as a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember what Google's original mission was? Do you know what Google's mission statement is?
No.
Could you take a wild guess?
I'd have no idea where to even begin.
All right, hold on. So Google's parent company, Alphabet. It used to be organizing the world's information.
That's what I was thinking. Something like that.
There it is. Literally organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. And, ChatGPT, there is one particular plugin that I think blows Bard away that I was thinking about for us. And again, I see some viewers bopping in and out here. If you're a viewer, we're just BSing here and talking in shop. But if you have questions, this isn't Ask Us Anything. This is the Spark team. We could talk to you about marketing, about systems, about how we're rolling out the Spark State of the Spark resource library. We're super proud of that. That's coming soon. Super exciting. How we're modifying our services because of AI. Like we've sold several content in a year packages, which it itself is evolving how we're creating our packages.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool stuff. So we're covering that. So if you're watching, don't forget to jump in, ask questions. We're here for you. But so there is one particular feature though that I think ChatGPT does, and it's nuts. And it's scheduling process flowchart. Now this is nutty, girls. Okay. So you go to ChatGPT 4, you go to plugins, and I installed and activated a plugin called Show Me Diagrams. And I gave it a prompt. Now I'm going to grab this prompt here, and I got to grab this prompt instead of reinventing the wheel. Where'd it go? There we go. I'm going to grab this prompt, and what this is right here, for those who don't know, Jessica will recognize this almost immediately. Amber might recognize this.
Yeah.
We were talking recently about a way to capture our flowcharts and our systems. And I started here with this prompt. And this prompt says, using the plugin called Show Me Diagrams, you saw how I just activated it. Mm-hmm. Create a flowchart for a process for scheduling client meetings using the following word track. Now, for those who don't know, this is for the public. The girls know this. Jessica asked me last week, mm-hmm. for like, what do we do for booking calls? Because like, we don't know what to say all the time when a client's like, can I meet in person? And it's like, the answer's no. And like, well, no, let's not do that. Right. Because it's so inefficient. Like, what's the right word track here? So I literally outlined this. Notice there's no bullets. There's no outline. The language learning model is going to kick in here real time. And it'll tell you when it's grabbing the use of a plugin right there. It's using the plugin now, Show Me Diagrams. And it's going to access different APIs, if you will, or different parts of the tool. And then you got to see this. This is nutty. Now, they don't look aesthetically gorgeous.
Sure.
But functionally, it's the word track Jessica has always wanted. Here is a flow chart. Look at this. Here is a flow chart of our process for scheduling client meetings. Intro, blah, blah, blah. Does this need to be in person or virtual? In person. Can it wait 2 weeks? In person still, let's get you booked. Can it wait 2 weeks? No. Yes, virtual option. And then, now this one, actually this chart is different, and this is interesting. This chart's actually different than the previous one I did. Let's look at the previous one.
That one had like there was like a loop-de-loop in the middle.
Yeah, Amber's like, wait, I wanted to see that other one. Where's it at? Come on. There we go. Okay, so this one actually looked more accurate to me. So start the call. Will the person want an in-person meeting or a virtual meeting? Virtual meeting. Book the virtual meeting in the next 5 to 7 business days and then close the call. And then here, is it in-person or virtual? It's in-person. Well, okay. Can your in-person request wait 2 weeks? No. And then it adds the little yes and no nodes. No, it can't wait. Offer a virtual meeting and then close the call. Book in person for 2 weeks. And then now this is a whole different flow. Who will manage the website? And so that was a tag on from a follow-up. Mm-hmm. Now, Jessica, does that help? Or do you prefer word tracks written out?
I mean, this is awesome. I like both.
It's pretty cool. And so this is the plugin. This is let's put us there so it make it a little bigger. So this is the Show Me Diagrams plugin, which is pretty bad, So how would you use this? How else could we use this for our own systems? I mean, do we just go through our systems? Like, how could we possibly pipe this in?
It could be used for like tracking the process of like a new build or a new project.
Yeah. Well, and so like, I guess what problem would we be solving with this? And here's the big problem. For those who don't know, we have a rather currently robust like operations manual, but I don't know if it's the way it's set up, the UX. or if it's not complete enough, or like you go into a question and all of our stuff is just so nuanced, or if it's just the way it works, but we don't always refer to it. And this is a problem. I don't know you girls. I mean, like you worked at Black and Brew, Amber. You guys had a systems manual, right?
Yeah.
Like what happens when people stop going to the manual? Like why do people quit going to the manual?
They start creating shortcuts, or
That's a good one.
different people have different processes for things because it's either they think it's more efficient, or like their system works better. That was one thing. Like everyone always had different opinions on like how to keep the bar, how the bar, and like when to clean it, when to deep clean it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think each barista just had a certain way they like to run things. So, so mainly people stopped going to it because of shortcuts, or because they just had their own way of doing things that for whatever reason they thought was better or more efficient.
Jessica, have you been in a scenario where they've had like an official manual or whatever, but it just never got used? Grillsmith or no, they just depend on servers' intuition there.
Oh, you're muted, love.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, great example would be Grillsmith. And I'm sure it's not every Grillsmith, but just this one wasn't under great management. So, for example, like when I started, there was this training manual, and not one person on my team had ever used it. So I was the first person, almost like the guinea pig, using this manual, and they had all these tests, and it really reminded me of like the process that I went through with like Outback or other restaurants. It was, or even like Smoky Bones was really, really awesome, but like nobody knew how to use the training packet, so no one knew how to run through the process. So I was like, today I'm supposed to be doing this, and they're like, no, we're not doing any of that. And I was like, oh, okay. But then I have all these tests that I have to answer that I need to do this for, and they're just like, you don't have to do the test. And I was just like, what am I doing here?
Interesting. Okay. Well, both of your examples point to something, and that is whether it's Amber's example where the barista comes up with a shortcut or just has their preferred way to do it, or in your case, the staff is just like, no, none of us bother with it. What it's getting at is that the systems manual does not represent the most effective way to get something done. What I like about what we do as one percenters is we are always improving the system. And if you think about how we use ClickUp from a productivity standpoint, ClickUp has the systems manual, but then it also has how we use the statuses. That itself is a kind of a de facto system. And anytime that we do a Thursday meeting and have a 1%er, like we tend to implement it almost immediately, so we almost don't have to track it. The templates get updated almost immediately. The signatures get implemented over a week or so. And then the statuses themselves and who does what and when, some of that just gets implemented almost immediately. So then we don't go back like the manual in these restaurants. We don't go back and update the manual. And those are very, you got to go to the computer. You got to find where it's at in the computer. You got to print it up. You got to put it in the, sleeve cover or the protective
binder.
Yeah, the binder. And in a restaurant especially, like who's going to make time to do that? I'd rather go earn another $5 tips,
Yeah. And
so I wonder, like, so I try to get those parallels and go, why don't we use our training library? And sometimes it's that, like, there's a sense that maybe it's fallen behind, or I have to wade through it. Yeah. And so I wonder if something like this can help us not just come up with flowcharts, but shorten the cycle it takes to keep our systems updated.
Yeah. And we've kind of talked about this, like, in terms of like moving projects into queue when we know the client isn't going to care that it's a 30-minute or an hour quote. And that being a part of a decision tree can help move the process along even further, because like for BHI, I did their edits today, but if it had followed a normal process, then today I probably would have been the day that I quoted it and sent it to them. And so sometimes it is most efficient to like not do the system or kind of have like a shortcut of the system. It just needs to be something that other people know so that it's a repeatable process in the future. But there are also clients who don't, they want to know what the quote is so that they can, you know, have time to think about it, make sure it fits into their budget, those sorts of things. So it's different for every client. So, you know, even though our process for content support is the same, each request is generally different. And so the process could go many different ways. And there are points like that where you can move it along faster, or like when Grant fills out someone's design form.
Yeah.
Because he's met with them most recently and he's already extracted all of these great details that the production and supports team weren't a part of and didn't have. So instead of having to go to the client and take longer and wait for them to fill out this form, it goes to Grant because Grant's like, I already have all this information. I just got to bop it out of my head into this form.
Yeah.
And then we've moved their project forward faster because our system dictated that we could do that in that case.
Well, and this is okay. And let's bridge that thought to AI, because you use the phrase, we just bop it out of Grant's head. And therein lies the breakdown. I believe that in, like you're describing in restaurants, I believe the front end employees know the best way to do something. Mm-hmm. I know that sometimes, though, experience of the old heads from behind the scenes when they do get stuck.
Yes.
For example, in a restaurant, okay, I know that when I put my milk at this point of the counter, I don't care if they tell me to put it back in the freezer over here. I'm going to go through it before it warms up anyway, because I know my pace of milk. And for those watching, I think all three of us have worked we've all worked in cafes at some point in our youth. And so like, they're always like,
we often refer to that.
You always got to put your milk away. But if you know at during peak, I'm going to go through a gallon of milk in less than 15 minutes. And so the idea of putting it away, pulling it out. So you go, okay, the front end people know, but then there's moments like, okay, I got an angry customer. What do I do? And that's where you're like, well, we're the old heads now. Like, because they're the ones who know how to deal with that. And there's no real efficiency. Mm-hmm. There's effectiveness, and effectiveness is far different than efficiency. And that's when you're like, okay, let's go back to the systems. So what I'm thinking is this, like, I showed you girls, this plugin is the Show Me Diagrams plugin in AI. And the reason I brought this up is there's one other plugin I want to show you. So let's start with a fresh ChatGPT. Let me get rid of this little quote here at the bottom. Boom. We're in a fresh ChatGPT, and we've got ChatGPT, and we got plugins. Now, we know we do shows like this where the recording is in the cloud, right? And it's also on YouTube. And we know also that, boop, can I just get that system out of Grant's head like we did with that one word track? But then how does that end up in a useful way? I think this is the way to go. I'm in ChatGPT 4, I'm under plugins, and the plugins I'm going to make sure I don't really need any, but this Vox script plugin. So the prompt is this. Let's see here. This is an old video of one of my crypto shows, but let's pretend it's relevant to it. Let's pretend it's this show, the Ask Me Anything. Mm-hmm. So I activate the Vox script and I tell it, using the Vox script plugin, please read the transcript for the following YouTube video and outline the top points from that video and include in each point a quote from the video that supports the point.
Wow.
So it's going to take a second and spin here. And here's the interesting thing about Bard. I have to use this Vox script because it's ChatGPT. Someone had to hack it and connect it to YouTube. Because Google is Google is Google, you can just ask Bard to do this. And it's nutty. So here we go. It gives me the title of the video, which is an accurate video. This was the crypto video. It has a point that it decided was good. And then it has a quote that one of the speakers, me or one of the co-hosts, said. Now, if you can imagine, this was not a video on crypto, but this was a video of us recording our process. I now have the script like I had the word tracks for Jessica. And then I can then say, if I had the plugin activated, when you start a chat, you have to have all the plugins you're going to use activated.
Enabled.
Yeah, and I don't have that. But what I could do is I could grab this, and there is really no good flow chart here for this, but we're just going to try it and say, using the Show Me Diagrams plugin, create a flow chart for the following major points. Now, this is going to be completely butchered, but you get the point of where this is going.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if for our processes, if we couldn't record, because that's how you bop it out of Grant's head, of if this, then that, and this, then that, and this, then that, and if it wouldn't actually come up with a useful diagram. So now we have the transcription for those who are verbal learners.
Yeah.
We have the diagram for those who are visual learners, and we have the video for those who are audio learners, all kind of in one shot. And oh, wait, did it just give me the same thing? Oh, it just gave me the same word track. It's referencing not to the video. It's referencing back to the previous script. So total fail. So it's not genius yet.
But the potential
is there. Yeah. So does that workflow kind of make sense? Like, do you think we would actually do it?
The workflow?
Yeah, the workflow of like, hey, what's this system or what's this word track? And you girls know I could talk on, which is why I do shows. And we just got to capture it and say, and decide if it was linear enough or logical enough. And then capture that video trend. Go ahead, Amber. What's your thought?
I think so. I think it just depends like what problem we're solving for and what our goal is. So I think this is definitely useful. And it could be useful. Like I'm thinking of it like seeing the production workflow as a flow chart. Like that could be useful to anyone, not just us. Like someone following along with their project too. Maybe. I don't know. I wonder. I am inquisitive about that.
Well, Adam, our partner for Spark Billing, had a rule for a long time, and that is if any of the employees asked him a question that they had asked before, he would not answer. He'd say, bring up the video. And if you've walked through the video and you're still stuck, now we have a net new question.
Yeah.
And a net new question deserves a net new training. And he would record a video and for everything. He would never type it up. He's like, no, because this stuff is so fluid. When it's in writing, we tend to think it's kind of stodgy.
Written in stone.
Yeah, it's in stone. But when it's in video, it's like, oh, this is what they recorded. And it's like, well, we can switch out the video if it gets updated.
Yeah.
But now that we have this workflow with AI, we could potentially then also have the latest video, the latest diagram, the latest transcript.
Yeah.
Jessica, what are you thinking? You're thinking over there.
So yeah, I've been like waiting to ask a question. So I really like the show. Was it Show Me Diagram? So
Show Me Diagrams. Yeah.
Show Me Diagram. So how I would love to see this used for my personal use is maybe because we came up with one for me talking to clients about, is this an in-person meeting or, can we do this virtually? I think it'd be really cool if there was a way that I could, like during this introductory call, like discover their needs and be able to figure out what products they need from us.
Wow.
Or the services. Yeah.
Right. Like that's what I meant, like our services, because like when I talked to Lisa, like that was kind of the point of my call, was to kind of find out like what she wanted to do to her site, what edits she wanted. So if it was like, oh, well, do you want to sell products on your site or no? Okay, well, if you're not, then we can move on to these questions. But if you are, these are some questions the production team would like to have answered. And even if I can't answer them all, at least I could come to Amber and be like, this is all the information I got for you.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of all the systems, the sales track would probably be the biggest system we have.
Mhm.
Because in a discovery call, like I had a discovery call with a client, Secure Sealers. You guys know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's not live yet. Once he goes live, I'm sure I'll be fine sharing who he is and stuff. But he also has a marketing plan. And he called me today to talk about the marketing plan. And, Jessica, you raise a great point, because sales is often thought of as an art, not a science.
Mm.
But what we're talking about but there is a rational, like, there might be rabbit trails, but there is still, if there's a spine to the logic, the rabbit trails can go as long as they come back to the spine and get back on track.
Yeah.
So even though it's the largest, I think that might be one of the easier ones to do. And what I'm thinking of is we used a service for the longest time, which we don't anymore, called Content Snare. We've turned that into our own onboarding form. In all honesty, I could probably meander in a video doing like a role play with myself of the onboarding form, and even real time think of like questions to ask. And it's like, okay, I think I have what I need here. And that's kind of the transition to get back to the spine of the logic. Like, oh, are you going to do e-commerce? Yes, no, yes. Okay, well, e-commerce, let me ask you some things here. And yes, you could probably make any consultative sale ever. And that's inbound. Hey, I'm curious what you guys do. Even people just saying, I'm curious what you do. You're in a sales conversation. Let's go.
Yeah.
Or you could be if you had that word track. Okay, I'll do that. I like that. Okay. Now here's something. This is something we've been talking about, girls. What in our coming resource library should be free? Why not the graphic? Unless it's secret sauce to our particular company. And secret sauce, I think, and I say secret sauce, but we're pretty open about our differentiator, because we don't think anyone's willing to do what we do with production. And I think it's production. But everything from MS, marketing, sales, bookkeeping, and admin, what if some of our free was just the flow system of how we do it?
Yeah.
That could be. What are you thinking, Amber?
I don't know. Sure. I guess I'm just like, I'm still processing the resource library a lot, and like,
yeah, what should be free?
Yeah, and I just want it to really make sense, and that might be. I always want us to think about the value that the person's going to get out of it.
Yeah.
So, what value does that bring them if we use that as the free item? So,
a freemium item. This is interesting. I had a great mentor tell me once, never give away your core thing for free, but everything else should brush so close to free it's not funny. And I always thought about that. I'm like, okay, well, how? And it was always this question: how do you do that? Well, you should never give your time away for free. That's just a rule. And unless it's leveraged time and serves the role of marketing, and in that case, you're not doing it for free.
Yeah.
So workshops and stuff, you could justify a little bit of that. But when I think about like what is the minimum standard of a freemium product, especially in our space, at least the tech space of website design and support. Freemium is free. So what other knowledge is free? Well, it should be on par with if someone did a Google search and spent an hour Googling how to buy a domain, how to use Wix or Weebly. They could watch a ton of tutorials and videos. What should be free is that which is, it should at minimum be better than a Google search. And by better than a Google search, what could be better? Well, nearly all human information is available for free right now if you look long enough.
Yeah, or if you know what to search.
So I think the key word is degrees of curation. And so on our model of like do it yourself, the model we're going into of do it yourself, do it together, done for you, there are certain aspects of secret sauce that if we do it for them, there's, I think, elements that make that profitable for any company, not just us. One is expertise. We've been doing it long enough. I don't care. I will beat you 8 ways to Sunday, even if you had AI, because I know what I'm doing. So if I'm going to SEO a year's worth of content, that's 52 minimum posts, often repurposed to like 104 different posts or more. The newbie could do that with AI, but they would be tweaking this and tweaking that, and then they'd be overthinking like, well, each panel looks the same, and I got to do this, and it's like, we've handled all that. So some of that is secret sauce that goes on the done for you. So that's not free.
Yeah.
Then there's the do it together, and you're kind of giving them the same thing, but real time. You're just telling them, hey, this is what you can avoid. Let me train you how to do it. And then there's the do it yourself. And that is, I think the do it yourself, what you can't rationally put in a free item or a do it yourself item is imbuing someone 20 years of experience.
Yeah, you can't. And I guess like maybe I have that expectation that we should, and then I'm like, wait, no. So
well,
yeah.
You can warn them, right? You can tell people to look out. It's one thing to be a trail boss and be far ahead of people, and you're yelling to the people following you as a trail leader, and you yell over your shoulder, hey, when you come around this corner, hug tight because there's a steep cliff on the other end. You can warn them. It's like, okay, thanks. That's the freemium. The other is to stand at that wall, tell them, stop here. Let me clip you in. Now, when we go around, you're going to experience fear. You're going to experience this. You're going to experience that. And I want you to look at the face of the wall. Don't look at your feet or don't look down, and actually guide people through that. And I don't know how far into expertise you need to put into a freemium item other than the warning of, hey, be extra careful because this, let me save you a ton of time.
Yeah.
Take your time here. Well, what exactly should I do? Well, I could tell you the size, shape, and the carabiner that I'm using. I could tell you exactly where to clip in and why. But you literally told me I don't want that level of service. I just want the free level. But what you could put into a free item is, no, in my experience, this corner is goofy. And so when it comes to like website design, A, I think it's got to be better than a Google search.
Yeah.
B, it's got to be, therefore, it's got to be curated. So you're saving them a ton of time. You might not be teaching them anything they couldn't learn themselves, but you're saving them a ton of time.
Yeah.
And then C, you could always add your experience in the form of a heads up. Heads up, I know you're going to experience this, so try this and try that. Just shy of my actual secret sauce. And I think that's how we make sure it's more valuable than a Google search. I think quite often when it comes to freemium, my bigger fear is, man, it always feels like this might be designed well, looks good in Canva,
Yeah.
but the net meat on the bone is thin.
Yeah.
Relative to the first 3 results on Google, which someone could get in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, does that standard sound like it has value?
Definitely. Yeah.
I like that. I should actually capture that somewhere because we hadn't actually articulated that part of the standard, you know.
I was just going to say the Spark Standard.
Did you girls, were you able to read the Spark Standard document I started writing?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think?
I
Honestly.
think it's awesome.
Do you really like it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like when we started putting out our what we value in a collaboration or our ideal client values. When we started sharing that, it's kind of the similar thing. Like
Yes.
it's building in the open, and it's something that it's not only useful for us, but useful for other people to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt good writing. And at first I started writing. And for those who don't know, as we're making the great transition, and that's to, you know, leaning into our value of educating clients into our training skills around Spark Site and our clients there, Spark Citizens. We decided like, okay, well, our stuff's got to be better. Our needs we have good meat, but it's almost too meaty.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like the content's great, but the UX is poor. The user experience. So for those watching, we were discussing it. We got to start articulating what is the Spark standard. And so I started writing it up and I was like, what does this look like? Is it toggles? Is it links? I'm not really sure. But then I started getting into it and I'm like, wait, this is too heady. But as soon as I wrote the high level points and then had to write the details, I realized, no, this is principles first. And the thing about principles is it's supposed to equip you to be able to make a decision, or any employee or volunteer or intern, to make a decision without asking.
Yeah.
Because here's what to do, and if you're not sure what to do, then fall back at the higher level principle and always make the argument to us, hey, I tried, it went well or it went poorly, but I was trying to live according to this principle.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now we just adjust. And now we just detail the principle. So I like that. But we could add this to it. What's the Spark standard for freemium? Yeah, I don't know where that would fit. Is the Spark standard on, I don't recall. Did I do it on Spark Sites or State of the Spark?
I
State
think
of the Spark.
you did it on State of the Spark. Yeah.
And is it just called Spark Standard or the Spark Standard?
The Spark
I
standard.
don't remember offhand.
I'm looking at it right now.
Holla.
Well, because I didn't look at it earlier. So
Here, let's actually, you know what? Forget it. Let's just build in the open. I'm going to put this in the public. For those who don't know what we're talking about, here, let's put it in the comments. Boom. We are hammering these out real time. You know, following are the Spark standards. Be the most informed we can be. And what the context is. And it will drill, it could theoretically, as we talk, drill in even deeper, you know?
Yeah.
So let me put this here as well. Boom. Spark standard. Did it raise any questions for you, Amber?
No.
No?
It just like
Did it
when
resonate?
I was
Oh, God.
when I was reading it, I was just thinking of like production, how people send us their requests and then we kind of have to take that information and digest it and come up with a plan and like all of that stuff. And this just felt like a support system of that. Like we are always going to be as informed as we can be. We're going to research as many options as we can, always make sure we put multiple options in front of someone if we can. And we know that like technology changes. We accept that there could be better technology that comes along, that maybe we're using something that there's a better option than Canva for whatever. So it just kind of like resonated with like how we do things and like how we present things. And I feel like we do go above and beyond when someone requests something from us, just to make sure they know all the possible outcomes and things that they're not thinking of when they're asking for a request. So
Yeah. And what's funny is in the whole thing I got into in the Spark standard, what I didn't do is what it isn't is these flow charts. It yet. And I was trying to move my way to that where it's not only principle driven and you know what you're saying is you know it felt integrated, Grant, with how we work and the motive with which we work. But what it doesn't do is if we have someone stuck, like technically what they do. Oh my gosh. Jarrett popping in last minute to ask, who are the best teachers you all access currently that help to evolve the product or service? Now, this is a good question because I think we're going to have embarrassing answers. Anyone, who are the best teachers that you guys currently access? I actually have an answer, believe it or not, but.
well, I'm thinking of Grant.
Oh, it's Grant.
I was thinking Grant and Nicole Bradham. Those are the two people I feel like I've learned the most from.
So Jarrett, good question. Nicole Bradham is the partner who was at our most recent event. She is the Hot Mod Influencer Agency. She's fantastic. We've worked with her before. She is a busybody right now doing content out the wazoo with, you know, her clients. And she does basically influencer marketing strategy for travel boards, tours and boards around America. Pigeon Forge, Tennessee being one of her most recent clients. And she's working on her products. But Where did we come up with the do it yourself, do it together, do it for you? Where did we come up with that? I'll
Mind
tell
Valley?
you. Thank you. Mind Valley is a good one, but no, it was Adam. So Jarrett, I will say one, my partner Adam in Spark Billing was doing Grant Cardone's 10X info service weekend retreat workshop. He does a lot with the Cardone group, and they're investing in their platforms. And like, he's invested. He's not just like the superficial guy skimming Instagram. Like, he actually attends their workshops and stuff. And they gave him the model of, if you're doing info products or services, you need a DIY model, a do it together model, and a done for you model. And the reason is, you need to take your current price point, which feels like your current price point is the middle offering. And the truth is your current price point should be the maximum offering because it's your time. Then you need to add a lower tier, and it's do it yourself. Think of this as courseware, but I think everyone is so bored of courses that we're going to start calling our stuff guides. And those guides could be PDFs. Those guides could be video. Those guides could be hybrid, which is what we're working on. Those guides could be a web page that is just built with the tools we know, like toggles, like a course that will have video interspersed and make it more of a learning journey, depending on the content, or just visual. Give me a visual guide. So that's where we got that model. That was Grant Cardone. Marie Forleo, am I saying her name right? Let me see here. I think Marie Forleo has been a phenomenal example for me. Just marieforleo.com. Let me give you her website address. It's coming up real quick. And then Multiple Streams of Income by Robert G. Allen was an older book in the late 90s, but he formulated infopreneurship. Here, let me give you this link from Marie Forleo. Boom. So that should be in the comments there, Jarrett. It doesn't look like it's in LinkedIn, so let me drop it in LinkedIn. I don't know where you're hailing from. There you go. That's Marie Forleo. And then Robert G. Allen. His book is Multiple Streams of Income, and it is about multiple streams of income. But the last fourth of the book is like the first 3/4 of the book. He's making the case for, here's how you can retire a millionaire. Everyone can retire a millionaire, even if you started late. Here's how you do that. Get that machine going. And once that's going, then turn your attention to the other mountains of income. He covers a lot. But in the end, he says, now, what do you do for your business? Because all this other stuff's long-term, retirement age and all this other crap. He says, short-term, you can get massive leverage by becoming an infopreneur. And the last quarter of the book of Multiple Streams of Income, maybe the last fifth, let me be fair, is all about setting up infopreneuring. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. And I've got it like literally right there on the shelf. Oh, you can't see it. It's out of the shot. It's right there. I recommend that. That was a big one. And then there was someone else that I follow. I mean, the one we're modeling right now, Amber, for our resource library.
Yeah.
Is Tim Madden, easily an 8-figure earner. He's earned his ClickFunnels award for $1 million a month or something like that, or $1 million a year on ClickFunnels.
I think it was a month. Yeah.
And it's not like, if you watch, so Tim Madden, and his website is Exec Upgrades, EXEC upgrades.com. We manage his website, but that is all we can claim. They have done so much else on their own that it is absolutely impressive. And we've watched him pay consultants the best of the best. And he has applied the best of the best consultants. His wife worked for Tony Robbins, and then she came to work for them. And they have put together their packages, and their model is second to none. They do a group-based model. And that group-based model is something that we are going to deploy at a certain point. And I know, Jarrett, this doesn't jive with you because there is community management, and I know that you don't enjoy that. But it's like a $6,000 package. You pay it all up front. You get 6 months access to the group. You then get one-on-one coaching, but you can only turn in and claim and book your one-on-one coaching if you have finished the course. So they have like a significant breakage number where people pay, never finish the course, join the group, get benefit, but don't do the one-on-one coaching. So there's that. And then I follow, to Amber's point earlier, she mentioned Mind Valley. Mind Valley has a sister company that they spun off for coaches. Now, a lot of it's Hari-Fari kind of woo-woo coaching, but some of it is amazing executive coaching.
Yeah.
And it's a mixed bag, but their models, their system is called EverCoach. And I actually have the EverCoach program myself, and I love it. And they have good models for their service tiers. And that's the done for you tier for basically coaching. But then how to frame your pricing. So the do-it-yourself is not freemium. The do-it-yourself is kind of the guides or courses. The do-it-together is the personalized training. I'm not going to push the pixels for you, but whether we do a one-on-one custom coaching, whether we do a workshop, whether I do a recorded custom video for you, or whether you purchase something from me that is for you, we do it kind of together, if you will. I guess it wouldn't be a library of training that you just grab from. That would be the do-it-yourself. But the do-it-yourself could be single courses, or it could be a membership to all of our library of courses, which is the model we're deploying for State of the Spark. And then the done for you is you raise your price sometimes by double, because these other tiers, not only are they serving the client, in theory, you're serving them with excellence. You're also making the case for why you charge what you charge.
Yeah.
Because if someone, we have a client right now who's asking us about Weebly. Weebly, right?
Yeah.
And she's been a great client. She's been a friend of ours for years. And, her one business had run its life cycle. And so she closed that one business and that one website with us. She booted up another company that fits her lifestyle better now at the age she's at and at the stuff she's just interested in. And she started a Weebly site with Square. And she called us and said, guys, I know you. I trust you. Could you just handle or show me what to do? And we're like, yeah, we'll show you what to do. And eventually she's just learning. I just need to have you guys do it.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at in the conversation right now. So those are some great ones. Jarrett's like, okay, Grant, quit talking. Could you give me price examples of those three models in X%? I think the do-it-yourself model, let's just call it $100. I think the do-it-together model is easily 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000 models. So you're up like 1,000% at least, right? And then the done for you is probably double the done do it together.
Yeah.
So you've got like 1,000% jump and then like 100 or 200% jump easily over that. But that top tier could go on because it's custom. So I think the minimum side of the upper end. Now, Alex Hormozy's got a great video on pricing strategies. If your middle tier is closer to the lower end, they'll start wondering why they should do the middle one, and they usually buy the lower one. If your middle tier is closer to the upper end, they'll just go, well, why don't I just spend the extra and just get the whole kit and caboodle? And that's what our Secure Seal client was talking to me about today, girls. And so our model will be that the middle tier will be a little bit closer to the upper tier. So 101 to 2,004 to 8,000. Exactly. That is rough, Jarrett, but then you need to dial that in for your strategy. Like, are you trying to get rid of I don't want to do anything for them. Then you would lower the middle tier and make sure you have a robust lower tier offering because you're trying to drive that passive income. Or if you're like, no, I'm really trying to drive these upper tier sales, then you'd move the $1,000 to $2,000 closer to like $2,000 to $3,000. And they'll start to go, I might as well just get your bigger package. You know what I'm saying? So that's a whole other dialogue. And it sounds that sounds easy, but like the girls and I have been toying with price since the day we met.
Yeah.
It's like every quarter we're like, let's toggle that up. Let's toggle that down.
A little bit more.
All right, girls, we're at the top of the hour. What did we learn today? Any takeaways?
We're just amazing. That's it.
Well, and Jared, just so you know, since you're bopping in, I don't know if you caught the first half. I think you jumped in a little bit later, but we're sharing Building in the Open of this thing that we're calling the Great Transition to the State of the Spark Resource Library, and that was what some of the basis of this conversation was. Go back and watch the replay, everybody, if you want to see how AI is making flow charts and diagrams, is pulling out transcripts and summarizing transcripts, and how we might be deploying it to kind of capture our principles. That's all this time, folks. Try us in 2 weeks. We're going to get on the calendar early, and we'll have the link out there for you. But remember, just like Jared takes advantage of jumping on these calls and asking us anything, do the same. Amber and Jessica and I make ourselves available here because it's tough to make ourselves available in person for everyone all the time. So we pray to God you use us here and instead of other places. Any brief shout outs, girls? What are you shouting out today? Or gratitudes, whatever.
Dang.
Might
Who
be
do I
easier.
want to shout out?
Mm-hmm.
I always shout out Rico Mathis.
You can't shout out Rico again.
I won't. And I feel like I always do the doulas too. To Lisa Resigliano, it was great to catch up with her today. We had a really quick, efficient meeting. It's pretty
great.
straightforward what she was looking for.
That's fantastic.
And so we made great use of our time. And yeah, it was awesome.
Jessica, are you muted?
Am I?
No.
My friend Kim, I think that was really cool that she jumped on and was like, hey, I'm here, I'm watching, I'm her friend.
Bob did.
But I also reached out and talked to a couple of our clients today, Cedric and Larry.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was fun. I'm just really enjoying these client phone calls more and more as I do them more often.
They get less and less scary the more and more you talk to them.
Yeah.
Which is true.
Yeah, and I think they're actually kind of, not relieved, but I don't know, maybe people just don't get phone calls as much as they used to.
No,
people just seem like they're just so happy to hear my voice, and I'm just like, hi, and I just ask them, random questions, how's business going, yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying it.
It's emoji.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I'm going to shout out, Ernie.
Yeah.
Shout out Ernie from We Are Lost Boys. And he and his wife are the people who came and shot our content for this quarter. My plan is to absolutely have them for our next IRL stuff. I think that's huge. It is the difference maker. Yes, girls, no girls. It is the difference maker, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big time.
We all are walking around with a different, we've got new headshots.
We're walking around with a bop. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to walk around and just hand out my headshot to people. I'm going to have them printed and just start giving here you go. School pictures back in the day.
Right.
I'm going to sign them, write special notes on the back and just hand them out.
And you can bet we're going to start telling our clients, because we've had a visceral experience. Your content online, invest at least once a year, preferably twice a year, in professional content of something you're doing, in not just posing. And if that's the least you can do, great, then do it. But you doing your thing.
Yeah.
And that is huge. So I'm going to shout out Ernie at We Are Lost Boys. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate you, girls. Thank you for your time. Have a great afternoon. Join us in the next 2 weeks. Follow us on sparkmysite.com or anywhere you do things on the web. Just Google us. You'll find us. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great